and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, good morning. Dawn has well made a fairly poor effort of breaking. That is a giant herd of impala, and this is Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Right, here we are again. Did you like my sound effect? You know, we're a very modern show, so we need to have sound effects and things to sort of explode into your mind. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please don't worry. My name is James Hendry, and you are on the live safari. Those animals you are seeing moving around as they move around at the same time that they are moving around, because this is a live and unedited safari. On the other vehicle, Brent Leo Smith is driving around. He is being filmed by the rather large form of Jean-Dre Gerting, and then on foot, Jamie Patterson. Somewhere around here. Hashtag Safari Live or questions at WildEarthTV is how you get hold of us. And what I didn't tell you is that Viam is on camera on this vehicle. Did you hear his sound effect, everybody? It was very good. Okay, let's continue along here. Our plan this morning is to head down towards the south, see if we can pick up on the royal family, and then we might go across to Cheetah Plains. I would very much like to have leopard and cheetah in one drive today, so we'll see if that's possible. Now, do remember, yesterday, of course, was the birthday of Hosana and Shongile, and they are now 1 year old, and you may celebrate that with us by purchasing yourself a t-shirt with a picture of Karula and the two cubs on it, drawn by our very own Graham Wallington. This shirt can be purchased at royalbirthday.wildearth.tv. That's royalbirthday.wildearth.tv. There you will be able to purchase the shirt, anything from baby size probably up to gargantuan tent size. I'm not sure exactly, but I think that's probably around about the size differences that you'll get there. And then also, if you go to the blog post about the t-shirt, you can buy a high-resolution image of the drawing that is on the t-shirt, and you can buy it for as little as 50 US cents, and you can pay as much for it as you want to. It's a contribution to future projects, hopefully into places like Kenya, Botswana, maybe even India one day. And you can do that by, oh look, that's very, very sweet. Two little males battling it out with their stumpy little horns. In fact, yes, they are two little males. That's very cool. So you can buy that high-resolution image by making a small contribution of your choice. You see their tiny little horns? They're just about, how old would they be now? These guys would be about 6 weeks old now. No, they wouldn't. Let's call it the very 1st of December, so they'll be 8 weeks old. 2 months. And they've already got little horns on them. I think they're eating marulas. I'm trying to actually see one directly eating a marula fruit. Come on, eat one. See, they look like they're eating them, but I don't actually see one. I've seen Nyala definitely pick up the fruits. Go on. There we are. No, didn't reject it. They're obviously testing them. Maybe they only like the ripe ones. Can't blame them for that. This is a huge herd. They've got to be, what, I don't know, close to 100 animals here? Hey, Viam, should we try and count them? I'll do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, I'm going to go with 100. I didn't actually count to 100 there, everybody. Come on, eat a marula. They just seem killing them and then leaping off the road. It wouldn't take much to make this herd start hurtling about the place in a sort of playful dawn game. Right, I'm going to wait here and see just one impala eat a marula fruit. I think I've just seen one there. While we do that, Jamie Patterson has got herself some vantage. She's looking due east and would like to see... Oh, there we are. Was that a fruit? And would like to show you the sun.
Due east and looking towards the sunrise, and I suspect the last glimpse of the sun that we're going to see on this somewhat cool and cloudy sunrise safari. A very good morning to all of you and welcome on your live safari bushwalk. My name is Jamie and this morning Craig is on camera with me. He's also known as Batman, although I'm still not entirely sure who gave you that nickname.
I think it was James.
Was it James? That sounds like James. James gives people nicknames. He has an uncanny ability to give people nicknames. Now, we're on a bushwalk, which is a fantastic way to see some of the bigger things, but also to really get onto the ground level and see some of the smaller, fantastic creatures that we have to offer as well. And we started off our morning, I think, actually interrupting a fight between two grasshoppers. I don't know if it was a fight or perhaps something a little bit more potentially amorously inclined. I'm not 100% sure. But we've got this grasshopper. And you can see it's waving its leg sort of futilely in the air. And it's right in the middle of the road, which is, as you can see from its colouring, not where it wants to be. This is a grasshopper that belongs on bark. It would like to hide away in leaves or on bark. And I don't think it really wants to be right here in the middle of the road, where it is potentially a snack for almost any bird that's large enough to take it. It's quite a big one. Crested. Quite a big grasshopper. Exceptionally large, and it's got feathered, you can see it's got the feathered antenna. Now what I'm going to try and do, I'm scared that if I get a little bit closer, the other grasshopper's going to stop what it's doing, which at the moment is creating the stridulations using its legs on its body. So it's hiding there in the leaf mulch. There it is over there. Oh, there you go. You can see it moving. And you can see it's exactly the same species as the one that we had earlier. There it is, twitching its antenna. Now look how different those are. So perhaps I was wrong. Perhaps it's not a confrontation. Perhaps it was something slightly more peaceful and loving between the two of them. Because I think with those antenna differences, I think that might be a male and a female. Oh, he's coming for you, Craig. Here it is. And the reason I thought they were having a confrontation is the one shot out in front of us. Oh, hold on. Might not be the same species. Now that it's out in the open, I think we might actually have two different species. Never mind. We will scrap that entire scenario off the table because it's two different species of grasshopper. Well, I was going to try and show you the stridulations that it was making, rubbing up its feet against the side of its body. But that's definitely not the same species as the one we were looking at, I don't think. Unless it's... No, definitely not. It's slowly tumbling down off the leaves. It's also, I think, potentially wiping the moisture off because it's quite dewy. You might have noticed this morning there's lots of moisture in the air. Potentially rain in the air as well, though I'm hoping that we can avoid that before the end of the sunrise safari, because otherwise we'll have to go running back and try and get into the tent, which might be a bit of a tricky operation. But it is also quite moist, so it might have also been wiping the dew off its leaves and making sounds at the same time, because of course all grasshoppers have those spiny legs and spines attached to their long back legs. Alright, we're going to continue on. We're going to see what else we can find. I might stick to the roads. It's naughty, but I might decide to stick to the roads for now, just because I think if we go walking through the grass now, we're going to come away soaked all the way up to the hips from the dew on the grass. So while we stride out on foot, safe and comfy in his car is Brent. Let's go across to him so he can say good morning.
We've checked that top section of the northern boundary. and unfortunately for us, no sign of the lion tracks we were looking for. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have my good friend Jean-Andre on camera with us today. And remember, if you want to chat to us, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or questions at WildEarthTV. Now, we are doing a bit of a boundary patrol, so I did hear there were some wild dogs on Sibambili yesterday, so I'm just having a quick squiz to make sure they haven't crossed. Also, good area to check for shadow. So I'm going to check our western boundary next. And hopefully we have some leads to follow up on. Now, of course, as Jamie's saying, I hope we do avoid the rain this morning. It can rain as much as it wants after drive. Corrugations. And there's a lot of big elephant paths in this area that a lot of different animals use. Okay, that's what we're looking for this morning. See if there's any tracks on these big paths. The temperature's suddenly dropped a few degrees, and I'm really hoping it's not going to bring on a summer squall. Luckily for us, it's coming from the southeast, if it is coming from anywhere, so James will get wet first. Sure, it's getting quite nippy. Hi, Tammy. Oh, Tammy is saying, although she loves the leopards, why are we not... why are we not seeing any giraffes, zebras, or rhinoceroses? Well, we don't show rhinos. We do see them as we drive around the bush. The reason for this is that they're to protect them from the poachers at the moment. Where there's the giraffe and zebra, sorry, I'm just trying to do my sleeve up here. It is getting a bit cold. Well, the majority of the zebras have actually moved off at this time of the year, so we'll see a lot more zebras during our winter months. They have moved onto the basalt soils or gabbro plains in the southern Manuleti, and that's where the majority of the zebra are going to be. As to giraffe, this is not the most ideal giraffe country in the world. The majority of our trees are combretum or bush willow, where there's giraffe's favorite tree is acacia. So the giraffe are here, but they're not here in massive numbers. We do see them from time to time. We'll keep a lookout for both for you, Cammy. Now, one must remember this is an open ecosystem, so animals move up and down, but let's quickly go across to James, who's got something that might fly away.
Look at that, everybody. We were just driving down this road and Liam said to me, where have Mr. and Mrs. Wahlbergs gone? I said, they've disappeared. He said, they're not even in their apartment block anymore. I said, no, they're not. I said, maybe they've had a divorce. Well, here they are, right next to their nest. Very clearly they have made up with each other. Whatever conflict there was is dissipated. Perhaps it was the sadness over not raising a little chick this year. But there they are, being very affectionate with each other, and it's really quite sweet, isn't it? They're all fluffed out from the coolth of the morning. Look at that. And you know, I mean, I would be tempted to say that one of them was a juvenile, the one on the left, given how scruffy it is, but I just didn't see any evidence of any kind of either incubation. Well, they did incubate for a little bit, but there was no youngster in that nest ever. So I think that scruffiness is just born of the preening and the coolth of the morning. I think that is Mr. and Mrs. Wahlbergs. Isn't that sweet? We don't get to see this very often. This sort of thing is very unusual, especially between the raptors. We don't tend to think of birds as being particularly affectionate creatures. Oh, the yawn. Now, you might be able to hear to the left-hand side of where you're looking. That is guinea fowl. Now, I don't know if those guinea fowl are alarm calling at the Wahlberg's eagles. It's entirely possible. Or if perhaps there isn't something more predatory down through here, like a leopard. I don't see any tracks on the road, and the guinea fowl are kind of in a direct line with the Wahlberg's eagles, so I'm pretty sure that's what they're shouting at. But we'll drive down there and have a look. Let's just ease our way down here. Keep an eye into this thick bush. We've had some magnificent sightings of lions and leopards through here. And then we'll have one last look at these birds from a bit closer. They're looking down towards the guinea fowl. Now, Brent Lear Smith is about to give you something extremely exciting. Head across to Brent and find out what he's got to show you.
Guys, wild dogs! We just seen one. I just saw the tracks and I said to Jean-Andre, there's an impala that just sprinted across the road in front of us. Yeah, make your way, guys. I'm the only one here. So there we go. It's the lead dog from the Investec pack, if my memory serves me correct. She's quite dark, but she has been leading all the hunts. She's calling. She's looking for the rest of the pack. Now, this is where I saw the tracks. Or is this one of the younger ones? No, it does look like her. No, don't go that way. Oh dear, we can't go there. Just keep checking behind us. And she might pop back out into the road. Oh, it's so thick in here. She's disappeared. Okay. I'm pretty sure the rest of the pack's around, and they will pop up. So I think we're going to patrol up and down in this area. Let me just see if we can hear them. Oh, that smell. No, we can't hear them. Let's just keep checking a little bit. Now, when with dogs now, you got to check behind you, you got to check in front of you, you got to check left, right. Now, see, we had those tracks here, and you saw how she smelt, but the tracks are in this area, so I'm pretty sure the rest of the pack's here. As I said, we just saw a single impala dash across the road. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to position myself around here where I can see long distances both ways, and also switch off the car so I can listen for contact calls. Okay, so while Aubrey and I try to find them, again, let's go back to Jamie.
While Aubrey and Brent go off in search of the wild dogs, I'm very much hoping that the wild dogs might find us, but I think that might be... We're not that far away from where Brent is, but I think that might be wishful thinking. So in the meantime, we've stopped for something slightly smaller, but equally as interesting. Shall we say that? Let's say that. Equally as interesting. Taylor was wondering about this, and she asked me to keep an eye out for it. She told me about how on her bushwalks while we were on leave, she'd seen the caterpillars targeting these sennas, so the monkey pods, and she wanted to know whether or not there was any sign of now the caterpillars pupating or going into their cocoons. And I think that's what this is. I'm going to try and turn it without shaking, and if I shake, I'm sorry, Craig. Trying to have a look in there. I don't know if you can see anything in there. The only thing I can see is a water droplet. Jamie, keep still. Now that I'm focusing on keeping still, it's making it even harder. And it looks as though this particular species of caterpillar, I don't know if it's them, it's hard to see, but it looks as though they roll the leaves. That's the second one we found, and I'm still looking for more of them. Where was the other one, Craig? It was... You got it. Oh, well done. I'm looking to see if we can't find more places where the leaves have been rolled. In this tree, I wouldn't say that it's been decimated, although I have seen some of the sennas have been decimated by the work of the caterpillars, but you can see they've been completely stripped. Our certain species of caterpillar, of course, focus on certain types of trees. So in this particular case, this particular species of caterpillar, and I'm not sure what it is because I didn't actually ask Taylor, which is my mistake. The species of caterpillar obviously focuses on sennas. You can see there. And I suppose it makes a good choice, a good option, as a place to not really build a proper cocoon, because it's not a proper silk cocoon, but to build a good place where they can metamorphosize. I'm looking all around here. This one's been particularly hard hit. It'd be nice to be able to tell Taylor when she comes back that we've found a few places where the caterpillars are about to turn into their adult phase, and perhaps we can keep an eye on it. And basically gives us a chance, which is the joy of these live safaris, to tell a full story. So from the caterpillars to their cocoons, and then from there into the story of their, Jamie, metamorphosis. There's a bird dropping moth, as James called. What did he call him? A bird turd moth. It was in the leaf. It's just a moth that looks like a bird dropping, but it's gone now. And now to try and find it. I saw it there perfectly, and I should have just not touched it or reached towards it, and then we would have seen it. But I'll keep looking. There's lots of them hidden away as a sort of a bird dropping. And there we go. And then the monkey pods also, of course, getting their pods as well. You can see the way in which those long, droopy pods have started to grow. They're not long and droopy just yet. They're small and curly. And those are going to grow into long pods with edible seeds. Seeds that you could feed off if you wanted to. Still looking for more of these rolled leaves. So I am surprised that there aren't more of them. Look here. Shame. Some unfortunate bird did not make it, I don't think. My guess is rather than that having hatched and dropped out of a tree, because we're not anywhere under a tree, and they don't look like Franklin eggs. They don't look like they have the markings of Franklin eggs. So my suspicion, with a white egg like this, any ground nesting bird will have a mottled shell of some description, a way of hiding the shell on the ground. So there's a few birds that will nest on the ground. Things like franklins, things like lapwings will nest down here, but the shells of the eggs always camouflage. They have to be, otherwise they'd just be sitting targets. So my suspicion is that this got eaten by something. Could be anything. It could be baboons. Well, no, not anything. Let's rephrase that. It probably isn't the wild dogs that Brent are with. They probably didn't climb up into a tree and eat this egg. Could be something like baboons, maybe a genet. A genet is also a distinct possibility. I would tell you by the tracks, but of course it's very damp this morning, so there are no tracks really to see except for elephant tracks. Just interesting. Another crime scene on bushwalk. Oh, I thought something was crawling up my leg. It's just a blade of grass. Shame. I wonder where that came from. I'm trying to see if there's an obvious nest somewhere up here. A good question coming through from Sandy, which was how much rain has Djuma had in our rainy season, and do we need more? I think the wild dogs walked on this road, but I can't quite see properly. Sure, how much rain have we had? As we look to the east and have a look. Oh, look there. There's a wildebeest looking at us. Sorry, Sandy, hold on 1 second. I love wildebeest on foot. If we were to go and sit down somewhere, there's a good chance he might come up and sniff and investigate. Come right up close to us. Hello, boy. Yesterday when I was tracking on Cheetah Plains, that wildebeest followed me all around. It was hilarious. I got out of the vehicle to try and see if I could figure out where those leopard tracks went. He was following me, like the impala do with the leopards. He was following behind, making sure I wasn't up to any nonsense. Yes, I'm talking to you. I might try and play with him later. See if we can go and sit and wait for him to come up to us. Yes. I'm going that way too. Is that alright, or would you like to go ahead? He doesn't care. He's interested in breakfast. Sandy, the amount of rain that we have had, I'm actually not 100% sure. I would guess over 100 mils, but in answer to your question, do we need more? Yes, absolutely. The dams are not full at all. The water holes have barely any water in them. Cheetah Plains, of course, is doing well. There are certain parts of the areas that we traverse that have had enough rain, and Cheetah Plains is doing marvelously. Hopefully those water holes actually hold the water, because they've recently been redug out and sort of refurnished, if you could say that about a water hole. Refurnished, I guess. They've been refurnished, so hopefully that will have helped with the sort of the water maintenance and keeping the water from them. But I think we were actually talking about it last night, Tristan and I, talking about the fact we're probably going to have a very hard winter if we don't get more rain, a proper heavy rain that fills up the water holes. Because at the moment these little downpours are great, and as you can see, it's completely transformed the landscape. There's enough grass, the animals are looking fat and happy, including that wildebeest that's still walking parallel to us, but having a wonderful breakfast. I think we need more. I really, really do. Because there's going to be a time where everything is going to disappear. I hope not. So much for my prediction of that it was going to rain. I give up. I'm not going to be a weather woman anytime in the distant future, because it looks as though James is having a look at the sky and the clouds are disappearing.
Look how beautiful that is, everybody. The clouds are dissipating. I don't know if they'll dissipate completely the whole time, or during the course of the day they might. But that is very, very beautiful indeed, isn't it? Stunning, stunning stuff produced by our man Wiam Dorenbrak. Thank you, Wiam. Have you had enough of that? Mm-hmm. You'd like to carry on now, would you? All right. Okay, find some leopards, please. All right. Wiam, of course, noticed me doing illegal photographing and decided that he'd bust me. Anyway, that is the way it goes out here. A very sort of, not quite dystopian, a very post-apocalyptic movement of clouds over the sun there. We had some nyalas earlier, but they disappeared into a bush. We had one wildebeest, I suspect the same wildebeest that Jamie's just seen. And now we are hopefully going to have, I don't know, perhaps an elephant, some leopards. It would be very nice to see the leopards so that we might wish them well for their birthday yesterday. Do you think Karula made them a cake, everyone? I wonder. Do you think she did? A daika cake. Okay. Wiam says daika cake, everybody. I think children only like deeply sweet chocolate cakes, don't they? They don't have very sophisticated cake tastes. Perhaps Shongile and Hosanna only like daika cake. There is an assassin bug that is crawling around on this car, and I keep finding it. Oh no, there are lots of them actually. I keep finding them on my leg or my hand. This one is on the floor next to me. I'm not going to pick it up in case it assassinates me. And if I can get one out, I'll show it to you. There was obviously a great plethora of them yesterday evening. Right, Brent has managed to re-find that wonderful pack. Let's go and take a look.
Look at this, we've caught up with them. That female headed down to the west, so we decided to check to the west, and we've caught up with some of the pack. They look like they're looking for other members. These are the adults that I can see now, not the sub-adults. We can see 1, 2. Now I wonder which pack this is. 3, I think this is 4. This is one of the bigger packs. Oh, there we go. Dogs everywhere. So probably the Invest Deck pack. Difficult to tell now till we can see. There's some very distinct animals. I said that lead female is very dark, as well as the collared male, and there's also a male with a very specific wound on his shoulder. Oh, there we go, Investec pack. And see that there's the male with the wound on his shoulder that Chandra is following. It's healed up very nicely. Hi, Michael. Michael would like to know how many dogs are in the Investec pack. Michael, 14 dogs in total, 5 adults, and 9 youngsters, or sub-adults. Hello, puppies! By far my most favourite creature in the African bush. Now, they don't live very long. In this part of the world, only about 5 or 6 years is only 5 or 6 years in here. They have a really tough life and lots of threats out there for them. Now I'm just going to do a quick head count of how many dogs we can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But there could be all full 14 here. And some in the grass there that could be a little bit more difficult to see. Now, Rick was saying, I mentioned that they are heavily endangered, and he said, why? They seem to be such efficient predators. Well, they are efficient predators, Rick. They're also so efficient that they need massive areas. They need home ranges of around 120,000 acres, 60,000 hectares, just for a single pack. And they also often travel outside of protected areas when they disperse, and they're very prone to canine-borne diseases such as distemper and rabies, and an outbreak in such a social animal will spread through the whole pack and wipe them out very quickly. Let's just try and move a little bit. There we go. Now, this is quite a sedate wild dog sighting as wild dog sightings go. I almost wonder if they've already caught something this morning. I can't see any blood on the faces just yet. It's very interesting to see if they get moving again. I wonder if they're possibly waiting for one individual, or they could just be resting up. Now, they would have been on the go since just before first light. There's massive radar dish ears. Constantly working, constantly listening. Now, the raven's wondering, why do wild dogs have those big round radar dish ears? Well, all the better to hear you with, the raven. Now, they often will get split up because of their hunting style, and they'll need to call to each other to find each other. And those ears are incredibly adept at picking up sounds, so it's mostly for them to contact each other because they can get split by big distances while out hunting. Now, as I was just explaining why they've got such big ears, it's so when they do lose each other, they can contact call to each other. And Tam Cam was wondering whether they do call each other. Yes, they do. They have a variety of different calls, from their woo call, which is a long-distance contact call, through to a series of high-pitched squeaks and twitters, and a very deep alarm bark. You can see that one's got a couple of holes in his ears. Now, Hole is asking, do the dogs heal as quickly as the lions? Well, most animals out here heal very, very quickly. And so I would say probably just as quickly as the lions. Obviously, with bigger injuries, being far more slight of build than a lion, they probably have a less of a chance of healing. But you can see this guy closest to us here on his shoulder obviously had quite a major wound at some time. But you can see it's healed up almost completely now, and doesn't seem to affect his running or movement at all. So there we go. Now, that could be a bite from another predator. It could be a wound from hunting. It's difficult to say now that it's completely healed. Could even be from a fight with another pack of wild dogs. Ryan, just come on Southern Hawk, just close to the Sibongveli Arathusa Cutline Junction. The whole pack's lying on the road. And there we go. See, there's a little bit of movement around. Most of the dogs are lying in that thick grass there. Sorry about that. I just had to communicate with other game drive vehicles. We are on Arathusa. So just letting them know where the dogs were. I think they've had a busy morning already. They might have had one or two unsuccessful hunts, and I can't see any sign of blood on any of their faces. And I'm pretty sure the whole pack is here. Look at those ears. Now, like all the other animals out here, and probably even more so because of the size of those ears, you can see the biting flies on there. Oh, and he's got those ticks or flies on that ear. I think they're resilient flies. Yep, resilient, stable flies. Even with all that flicking, they're not flying off. definitely one of the more sedate dog sightings we've had in a while. Normally it's helter-skelter. Now, Lisa, who's another new viewer, a big welcome to Safari Live, Lisa. Lisa says, well, if you knew a wild dog had rabies, is there any way to see that it's got rabies? Is there any way to help? Unfortunately, once the animal has contracted rabies and is showing symptoms, there is only one solution. You have to shoot the animal and burn the carcass as quickly as possible. Rabies is one of those incredibly infectious diseases that can run throughout a population and can infect lots of different animals. So what happens with rabies is it makes a wild animal tame, so they'll start showing very strange behavior, running up, sort of head-butting cars. They're also, one of the latest symptoms on is hydrophobia, fear of water, is also a very common sign. And also in certain cases they will start foaming at the mouth and salivating very heavily. But once an animal is showing signs like that, unfortunately it is beyond help. Now, there are programs out to inoculate against rabies, but of course this needs to be done yearly, and the Endangered Wildlife Trust is doing some incredible stuff with new inoculations that can be sort of a little pellet put inside a little piece of mincemeat, and then that is a program. But of course, with these animals moving such vast distances and often in areas sort of in the Kruger where there's no roads, there's no access, it is quite difficult to keep track of them. There's about 350 wild dogs in the whole of the greater Kruger area. When I started in this part of the world, there was actually about 500, and a rabies and distemper outbreak brought their numbers down to just over 100. So they are recovering again, and there's a lot of people doing a lot of great work in terms of saving the African wild dog, or the painted wolf. So for those of you not sure, the painted wolf part comes from its scientific name, which is a lichen pictus, which means lichen, wolf, and pictus, painted. So William is wondering, what is the largest known wild dog pack? The largest pack I've ever seen personally is 36 dogs in northern Botswana. There have been records sort of from the 1800s of packs of over 50. The biggest pack in this area is the Orpin pack, which is about 25 or 26 dogs. This is a good sized pack at 14. You must understand that they have an incredibly high mortality rate in both adult and even more so till those pups get to a year old. Okay, well, we're going to sit here with the dogs for a little bit longer, and maybe they will get moving and carry on hunting. It's a nice cool morning, but it seems like Jamie has found a tiny little amphibian.
On this lovely cool morning, and the damp air has brought out all kinds of exciting things, including this absolutely minuscule frog. Now, I'm not going to touch it, of course, especially this morning where I've sprayed liberally with chemicals, and that's because frog skins are very, very sensitive and very absorbent and very thin. So I've sprayed tick spray all over myself. I definitely don't want to put that anywhere near him. But just have a look at the size of this frog. That's my thumbnail. I think it's actually smaller than my thumbnail. It is utterly adorable and so terribly grumpy looking. It's got such a flat face. It is so sweet. And I would guess and say that this is a very new frog. I think this is... I'm tempted to say dwarf puddle frog. My frogs have got rusty in the drought because we haven't seen them all that now. I just want to prove to you that this is a frog. Hello. It's okay, you've got such ridiculously short legs. Yes. There we go. There we go. It is so sweet. Got the flattest nose. And I mean, it really is. It's structured like a pebble, isn't it? It looks exactly like a pebble. with these tiny, ridiculously tiny legs, which almost put me in mind of a rain frog, but just a miniature one. You can see his gular flap. I don't know if you can see his gular flap, actually. His gular flap underneath his chin, or her chin, frantically puffing away. And what perfect camouflage. It's only because this one moved that we actually saw it as it hopped across. And it doesn't really hop, it walks, which is also sort of something that bushveld rain frogs do, but this is far too small. Hey? I had a pet frog when I was 12. His name was Warty, and I decided it was my pet frog, and I used to, whenever I went into the swimming pool at my grandfather's house, because it was full of frogs, I used to go and find Warty, and used to come and sit on the surfboard with me while I lay in the sun and hop down, and I had Warty for about 3 whole days. And it was called Warty because my parents told me my parents joked that if I touched it, it was going to give me warts, which of course they knew was not true, and I knew was not true. So I had a pet frog called Warty. My brother, who was 4, had a pet frog, if I remember correctly, called Esmeralda. Now Esmeralda, I think, was a little bit less placid than Warty, and tended to just hop away from him. But he claimed that he had a pet frog called Esmeralda. Don't know where the name Esmeralda came from when he was 4 years old. Highly entertaining. But yes, I've always loved frogs. I find them fascinating and actually adorable. Hey, little guy. You are so, so sweet. Tucked down here. And speaking of Rusty, I owe you all an apology, actually, with my girdled lizard that was in fact a giant plated lizard. So it turns out the fact that I couldn't say girdled lizard should have come as a warning to me. The girdled lizard at the Hyena Den was a giant plated lizard, not a girdled lizard. I don't know why. I wasn't thinking. I had a moment of brain not functioning, which does happen occasionally to me, so I do apologize. Just thought I would correct that. But speaking of big reptiles from one giant, well, let's try that again. Let's make a better connection here. Speaking of something that likes to live on land and in water, James has found something large and very scaly.
Now this is large and scary, everybody, and it's living in a place where we didn't see them before. This is Twin Dams, and this beastly death in the deep has arrived during the course of the night, and we're often asked, do crocodiles move? Surely you can go into that water, there can't be a crocodile there. Well, here you have evidence that one day they are not here, and the next day they sneakily come from somewhere, and they lie under the surface waiting for some unsuspecting creature to come down here for a drink. This is Twin Dams. I have never seen a crocodile here before. Well, I've only been here 2 years, but still. There it is. Crocodile in Twin Dams. Now, I suspect that crocodile is going to move out of here tonight. And I'll tell you why I think that. I don't think that the catfish have grown yet in this little dam, although, I say that, there's quite a lot of bubbling under the surface. So maybe they've started to grow again here. But a crocodile that size is going to struggle, I think, to catch much more than the smallest duikers that come down here to drink. I think the rest of the animals will be a little bit too wily. It's not a big croc. Probably, well, it's not tiny. It's probably about 2 meters in extent, about just about 7 feet. And just beyond there, shouting at it now, a wood sandpiper. Isn't that interesting? Now, yes, ladybugs, I think that's probably a very good assertion. You say, is this dam close to Chitwa, and could this croc come from there? That bird is not happy with the crocodile. It's been living here very happily without a crocodile for a long time. Yes, it could have. And indeed, I think it's quite likely that it did come from Chitwa. It may have had a fight with the other crocodile, with any number of other crocodiles, but it's not necessarily true that it came from Chitwa, because these crocodiles move enormous distances. They can move up to 50 kilometers in a night if they have to. I mean, that's extremely unusual. but apparently it has been recorded. And now doing what a crocodile does best, which is just lurk under the water and look dangerous. Right. Then we had some giraffes just across the damn wall there, so let's see if we can't go and find them. Can you see them there? Oh, well done, Vim. Vim can see them, we don't need to move at all. There they are. And Tammy, you wanted to see some giraffes? Cammy, I think. Well, there they are. Yes, Cammy with a C. There we go, got it. And there they are. We'll try and get a bit closer to them, Cammy. Very nice. And let you know also, of course, that I found a flower the other day that apparently in Botswana, and I've never seen them eat it here, is a real delicacy for giraffe, and it's a difficult one for them to get at because it's on the ground. I will tell you if we find it. It's called Crotalaria spherocarpa, or the wild lucerne. Why did I tell you the Latin name? Purely so that I might remember it. Let's pop onto the main road here. They're coming down to what's known as Baboon Pan. I must remember to tell Aubrey that there's a crocodile in Twin Dams. He'll be fascinated by that. He's been here for so long, he'll be able to tell us how many times that's happened before. Aubrey, for those of you who are perhaps new viewers, is a guide at Djuma. Magnificent looking giraffe. She's like a redhead, you see that, Vim? Strawberry coloured. Long legs, yes, funny that though. And at the moment enjoying a breakfast of leadwood. Alexis, interesting one from you, because I don't know if you've ever watched giraffes drink, but they don't like to do it. They're very nervous about drinking. You say, do I think that the giraffe know the croc is there? I don't. Well, I mean, unless they've been there, they wouldn't have known. They haven't they wouldn't be able to see it from where we're sitting now. They would be very, very wary, and all giraffes are extremely wary when they go down to the water to drink. I think that a crocodile that size would pose very little danger to a giraffe, but they don't know that. So I think they would be scared. If they got there and they saw it there, I think that the crocodile would disappear under the water as soon as the giraffe arrived. But I think it would be too small to get hold of one of these chaps. They're just a little bit large for a crocodile of that size. Very peaceful morning so far. And a wonderful bird, which I think you got yesterday, Viam, the pin-tailed wider, is just off on a bush, sitting still for once. There it is. Gorgeous. And they very, very seldom sit still for any length of time at all. And the males, deeply aggressive creatures. I can remember one from when I was a child that used to, it lived in Johannesburg, so it was by nature more aggressive than, most other birds. And it used to sit and peck at its own reflection in the window for hours at a time, shouting. There's the giraffe again, now across the road, and perhaps making its way slowly towards the water here, which is known as Baboon Pan. Have you ever seen a baboon? Yeah, in fact, I have seen quite a few baboons around here. Now, our plan from here is going to be to drive towards the east for a while, west for a while, see if we can pick up some tracks of Karula and cubs. If not, we'll turn around and go the other way. very stately, slow, sedate walk towards the water. Alrighty, we're going to go off to the west. Jamie is to the northwest of us, and I think she's got, I don't know what she's got. She's going to show you something interesting.
Up to the northwest of James we are indeed, and looking at something fascinating, which we only really, on a bushwalk day, only really have a chance to see when it's cool and cloudy like this. We just have a look at this whole setup over here. They've got the entrance hole, or one of the entrance holes to a termite mound, which of course will have a vast network of tunnels underneath the surface of the ground. Then we have a sort of series of almost battlement type setups with guards. So here are the soldiers lined up, making sure that nothing's about to come and attack the workers. And then we've got the workers themselves, which are currently involved in taking chunks out of this stick that they've found and dragged over here, and then taking it back under the protection of the soldiers back towards the hole. And you can see there's well, you won't actually be able to see, I can see a steady stream of workers making their way back towards the stick that they're gathering. And it's happening all over the place here. This entire colony of termites, and termites are very much like human beings in a way, in that human beings in a city, in that they're always constantly building, improving, expanding the size of their termite mounds. Every now and again one of them gets a shiver, and that's probably because it's in response to the carbon dioxide that Craig and I are producing. And of course the soldiers, if tackled, bite hard. And occasionally, if you hold a blade of grass near them, they'll actually slice the blade of grass completely. Earlier on, I saw one of those giant soldier termites in here, and I gave it a little bit of a, not a poke, I just touched one of the other soldiers and it immediately retreated. So it turns out size isn't always an indication of bravery, because the smaller soldier termites of the Macrotermes species, they've all stayed out in order to tackle my offending grass blade. Look, now all the workers have lined up again. Look here, look here, look here. Now they're dragging it. I think just the force of them pulling. I mean, surely they don't want to take that entire stick inside, or perhaps they do. I thought they were biting chunks off, but now they've dragged it along. And there's this constant steady stream. I know we focus a lot on termites, but they are fascinating. There's this constant steady stream of workers going out and back in and out and back in. And I think it's just the ones with the mouthfuls of stick. And they're taking the bits down, and of course these are the termites that have that incredible relationship with fungus. So underneath the surface of the ground, these guys are farmers. Oh. These guys are farming fungus, keeping the temperature appropriate, and then of course the fungus will help them to break down the indigestible particles of the wood, so mainly the cellulose cell walls. This tunnel's guarded by soldiers as well. Oh, hello. Morning. And then, if we stand up quickly and have a look around. Oh, God, my leg's gone dead, so I don't even want to know what poor Craig's legs are feeling like. We have a look here. There's an even sort of greater number of termites, all doing the same thing. So that's a sort of a base unit, what we were watching there. And then we've got a setup here where we've got a whole load of sticks with workers attached to them, and then soldiers protecting them all along the boundaries, like sentries. Sentries over here. Oh, he's chasing me. And fascinating. Look at them clustered around here. Now, Mary, apparently our termites look a little bit different to your termites, and you want to know if we get different species. Yes, we do. We've actually got quite a few different species, macrotermes, microtermes, harvester termites. There's termites that live in termite mounds, there's termites that live in logs and wood, and all sorts of things. So yes, we do get different species of termites, and they would be different from yours, adapted to different climates, different soils, and of course, different diets. Now here is one of those giant tank termites I was telling you about. They're not particularly, they're brawn over brain, I think. Oh, looking for the intruder. And basically entirely head-sized. I mean, most of its body is devoted to its head. Oh, careful. You're going to grab one. You're going to have a friendly fire moment if you're not careful. And there you go. That's one of the giant soldier termite that I was talking about. And of course, each termite is structured differently according to their roles. The workers with their strong but quite short jaws, then the soldiers, and then these giant tank-like termites. He's almost severed this piece of grass just to show you. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, Craig. Will you be able to see the way that he's... Look here. That's from his mandibles clamping down on this blade of grass. It's quite a moist blade of grass as well, so it's not like it's going to snap easily. It's very, very powerful. Very good question. Dries, you want to know if the red of the guards is brighter so as to attract attention to them and not the workers. I don't think so, but I'm not sure. That's a good question. I mean, the workers are pale because they spend most of their time underground and they only really... Look at them all running back in now. They're streaming back in, except for that one guy who wants to be back at work and refuses to be deterred. The workers tend to be slightly paler, but that's a really, really good question because I'm not sure. My instinct says that the soldiers are slightly darker so that if they have to, if the termite mound is under threat during the day, they can actually come out and defend it, which is more crucial than workers working all day in the sun. And I think that it's probably quite, in terms of biology, it's quite expensive for them to provide that pigment, so they only really do it if they need to, would be my guess. So the workers don't get much in the way of pigment, and then the soldiers get a little bit extra so that if push comes to shove, they will... I thought I was going to fish him upwards. If push comes to shove, they'll be able to come out during the day and defend the termite mound. It might also just be the thickness of the exoskeletons. Of course, it makes more sense for a large termite to be armored, or a soldier termite to be more armored and to have a thicker exoskeleton than a worker, because the workers aren't really at risk in the same way that the soldiers are. At least the soldiers need to be slightly more protected in order to do their job. There's no point sending out a soft shelled creature to defend the termite mound. And that's the amazing thing about termites, is the different roles that each and every termite has. And Justin S., you want to know how are their roles decided? As far as I know, they're decided from the point at which they're laid. So when the queen produces the egg, that genetic material is already contained in that egg, as far as I know. I don't think there's any kind of... She just somehow knows and determines exactly what it is the colony needs, which is fascinating. So she will lay a certain number of soldiers per day, she'll lay a certain number of tanks per day, she'll lay a certain number of workers per day. My guess would be that there would be a high proportion of workers and an almost equal proportion of soldiers. And then, from there, a smaller number of these tank-like termites. That would be my guess. But as far as I know, it's from the moment they are hatched. These workers are also attacking us. And there we go, our termite society. I spoke about it being a bit like, oh look, there's more tanks. They've just arrived. They've come out. I wonder if they've come out in response to the pheromones of the other one. BJ, you want to know if termites will work 24-hour days, perhaps in shifts. Well, they won't work outside during the heat of the day, but I assume that work does not cease below the surface of the soil. So they don't work during the day, or at least on a hot day in the sun, because their bodies are not built to cope with that kind of heat, which is why we only see these sorts of scenes on cool and cloudy days. But that's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that. Do they work 24/7? I feel like they might, but then they surely need to rest. That's a fascinating question. I'm going to give it some more thought and try and figure out exactly how termites might work in shifts, like sort of mine workers. Meantime, I think Brent's dogs are on the move. Let's head to him.
On the move indeed. We're trying to keep up with them now as they're literally taking us on the same route they took us on Monday morning, which would have been Sunday night for those of you in the States, exactly along this route. Hey guys. I'm almost trying to follow my old tracks. Oh, they've caught something. I just heard that meh, it sounded like another scrub hare, so that's probably going to be gone in a matter of seconds. Gone. Scrub hare, one leg. A couple of intestines being swallowed there. There we go, there's the one with the leg coming in from the right, Chandra. Oh, it's going back away to the left, sorry. Oh, there we go. That's how quick it was. That's another scrub hare down the gullet. There they're arguing over the scraps. Now, those scrub hares do not last long with... There we go. That one's still got something in its mouth. Maybe coming up there, yes. Can hear that begging. Now, about 300 meters from where that caught a scrub hare the last time. Let me just go forward a little bit. So the kill actually took place right here, and they literally, that poor little scrub hare got ripped into about 9 different parts in a matter of seconds. Morning, Curtis in Virginia. Curtis is wondering, what is the biggest animal a wild dog can take down? Curtis, they are capable of taking animals up to the size of wildebeest or even adult kudus. It all depends on the size of the pack, and there is a pack in northern Botswana that will even take sub-adult buffalo out of big herds, but that is very unusual behavior. Okay, I think they're about to get on the prowl again, so let's keep up. So just heard that very brief scream from a scrub hare, and then literally, it's like I suppose a wild dog, we could compare them to an evaporator. Just they evaporate whatever they eat. I mean, a pack this size will finish an adult impala in less than 5 minutes. Onto something else here. I think they might have seen a dwarf mongoose and they're trying to dig it out. Let me just get around. They don't normally stay too long on the dwarf mongoose. They're gone. I have seen them try to dig them out before. As I said, it's not something they waste too much time with. Oh dear, they're moving quite quickly now, and I need to try to get through here. You okay, Jean-Andre? Okay, well,
There is something in here, everybody, that is making a squirrel very, very upset. And the last time I heard a squirrel calling like this, it was because Hyena was sitting in a tree just above it. And unfortunately, we cannot go in there, because that is little Gary. And I think the leopard family is in here. We can't see the squirrel. Can you see the squirrel, Vim? You got him?
No.
I really think they're close by here. I think they're around that termite mound. I've looked in that tree. I couldn't see anything there. But I wonder if they're not perhaps coming this way to the north. So that where you're looking there is due south. Now the squirrel has ceased its belching. Which is not really a good sign. Let me go a little bit forward. We'll just sneak forward. Isn't it nice to have those dogs back? Let's hope they hang around. There's so much thick bush in here, though. Oh, still calling. Very angry squirrel. But an enormous amount of thick bush that will probably preclude us seeing whatever it is that is making the squirrels cross. It's so very tempting to drive in there, but we're not going to do that, are we, Vim? Because we might be arrested and put in jail. You just do one little drive up here. There is a road that pops out from the south, and it's possible that she will be coming up the road. But I don't see nothing. We turn so that we can look down this road. Yes, now a lot of you are saying you'll join me going into Little Gowrie and you won't tell anyone. Thing is that you can't really join me in the Sabi Sand lockup. That will only be Viam and I. So, you know, if you were prepared to join me in the lockup, well then I might consider it. But unfortunately you are unable to do that from where you are in the world. I'm sure that's what this thing's shouting at. Let's go up the road a little bit, turn around, and we'll come back here, and then we're going to go towards Chitwa and see what we can find there. But I don't think there are any lions on the reserve at the moment. Brenty's got the doggies off to the far west. And, well, if these leopards aren't here, well, I'm not sure that there will be a leopard here. Now, I don't know if Brent told you this yesterday, but there were 7 lionesses found on Buffelshoek yesterday. We think that's the Torchwood Pride. Now, as far as I'm aware, we have yet to meet the Torchwood Pride, and it would be very nice to meet them, of course. I'm just watching the ground here for tracks, but I don't see anything. Very strange weather. I've taken my jersey off, but now I'm getting a little bit chilly again. We'll see how the day pans out. Our great meteorologist, Jamie Patterson, should be able to tell us fairly soon. No. I fear me we're wasting our time on the leopard front here. Not one track coming back across the road. That's okay, they will come back at some stage. Let's just go up here. We'll go and do a loop around that way. And we'll drive a little bit faster. Otherwise we'll be stuck in the same area hoping for too long. Ooh. So this is where they were yesterday. This is Hoffman's now. And Hoffman's is another small reserve that the leopards like to spend a bit of time on. And that's where they killed something, or I think Karula probably killed the young impala, and she and Shongile devoured it. We don't know where Hosanna was at the time. He quite possibly trying to hunt squirrels. Something coming in here, Vim. What do you think it was? He says probably a hyena. Let's just double check. VM, of course, is a very fine tracker, as well as being a Cameroon. I'm not laughing at Liam's tracking skills, I'm laughing at the number of times his pants have been mended. Now with gaffer tape. Hyena. Okay. Hyena, says Liam. I believe him. Hello, Carlos. You're wondering about the hyena den. We don't know how it is today. I haven't been there yet, but I'm going to make my way there on the way around sort of to the east. So we'll definitely have a sort of foray towards there. Just drive a little bit faster to cover some more ground. Because I'm not convinced that our friends are going to be around here. They could easily have snuck across the border without us knowing. Not sure. No, I don't see anything further here. Wasn't that interesting to find a crocodile here? I hope that we don't find too many more of them on our little water holes. I mean, I've been into that dam, not for a swim, but to fish out a fish at one stage. I tried that. It was a horrible failure. Not when it was quite that full. And I always say, of course, people say, do you get crocodiles? Is it safe to swim? It's never safe to swim in any South African waterhole. Unless it is crystal clear and you can see the bottom of it from end to end. It is not safe. Because a crocodile will come from the most unexpected way and end up polluting the safety of a watercourse. Right, Pajamas has managed to find herself a millipede. I'm going to speed up and see if we can't cover a bit more ground. Go and take a look at all of its legs.
I found a giant millipede. It would have been almost impossible to have missed it. Oh, sorry. No, wait, come back. Don't go that way. You'll fall down. Now, James, of course, renowned for the fact that he won't touch millipedes because he says they always defecate on him. I think that's because he terrifies them. Yes, does he terrify you? Yes. Let me catch you. That probably terrified that millipede even more. Thought I was going to eat it. I am not going to eat it because it is well, first of all, I would not be particularly inclined to eat it anyway. Oh, this is really fast. But at the same time, they're also filled with cyanide. So I won't be eating this particular millipede. But it is massive. It is absolutely massive. Look how long it is. It's the length of my hand and unbelievably thick. It's one of the biggest millipedes that I've... Sorry, Craig. He doesn't want to stay still. One of the biggest millipedes that I've seen out here. I've seen some larger ones in the northern, sort of northwestern province. I've seen some larger millipedes, but this is a serious millipede. This is a millipede on steroids. Look at you. His legs even feel different to normal millipedes. They're strong. They're really, really strong. Which way do you want to go, buddy? Shall I pop you back? Yes. Down we go. Look at the strength. Sorry, hold on. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Hold on. In a way that's slightly easier for Craig to film. The strength of their bodies in the way that they move. I'll catch him if he falls. Look how he's holding on with those legs. I mean, that's completely against gravity. There we go. And that's the way that they transport themselves. So that's serious control over each and every single segment. Okay, I'll pop you back. There you go. See, and I haven't been defecated on by the millipede. All is well, I think. We'll leave our giant millipede to carry on. Lots of hyena tracks walking along this road. Or there were lots of hyena tracks walking along this road. I was going to show you one. But Rex has been strolling ahead. I'm trying to find a nice... Oh, here comes the sun. That might be nice for... Oh, there's a beautiful hyena track. There we go. Move out of its way, or out of your way, so that my shadow doesn't touch the hyena track. There we go. A really, really nice... The sun just went away. A really, really nice example of a hyena track with the perfect, almost puzzle piece-like toes that fit together. So there's 1 toe, 2 toes, 3 toes, 4 toes, and the back pad over here. This is left front, and there is right back behind it. Because of course hyena walk they crosswalk. So right front will land, back left will land behind it. Left front will land, back right will land behind it, and so on. So you end up with outward facing tracks as they walk along. One track faces that way and that way. Somewhere just around here, can't remember where, is our bush baby nest. The bush, I see where it is. The bush baby nest that has last time I checked, had a squirrel in it. And one of the things I keep forgetting to do is, hyena tracks there, hyena tracks there, hyena den there. Sorry, Craig, can we go for a walk back this way? I know Rex says they're all going the other way, except that not all of them are. There's tracks up and down this road. I still remain convinced that the return of Gwen is not a coincidence. I don't think she returned on her own. I think she's denning on her own, but I don't think she returned on her own to Djuma. I still think the rest of the clan is here somewhere. And I heard them whooping this morning. They went around Philemon's cutline den. They decided that it didn't suit their purposes. Where am I? No, it's here. It's just the road's become overgrown. They decided that Philemon's cutline obviously didn't suit their purposes. It had collapsed in. But I wonder if they haven't returned to Zoe's road. I can't remember where the entrance to the den is. Just stop. I just saw something walking there. It's a hyena. Look there, in the road. Hello? Craig, do you mind? Come this way with me. You'll see it there. No, this den's active. This den's active! Yay! Look, here it comes. Can you see it poking its head up there? And you? What have you got to say for yourself? Yes. You're up to no good. I love hyenas. They can be fantastic on foot. They'll often follow you round, not dangerous, just curious. Here he goes, slinking through the trees. Surely, this must mean the den's active. Tracks up and down, a hyena there. I've often gone on trekking expeditions where I hear a rustling sound and all of a sudden there's a hyena next to me. So I'm going, okay, well, you come with me then and we'll go on a walk together. They're not dangerous to human beings unless you sleep out in the open, in which case you're in trouble. Because sleeping out in the open, that's when hyenas are active. The road's just here. I want to check the tracks here. And if you're sleeping out in the open, hyenas are active at night, and they will come up and sniff you out of curiosity, also for a desire for food. But they don't have hands. They don't have thumbs, which means that any exploration that they do is done with their mouths, and you really don't want a hyena mouth anywhere near any of your body parts. Where's this hyena gone? It knows we're here. It knew we were here from way back. The only thing that's worrying me about my theory is that there ain't a single track on this hyena den road. Drat. Where's this hyena gone? Where are you? Hear a black-bellied bustard calling behind me. Okay, no. I'm sorry, I take that back. Yeah. Michael, I think that is what's happened. I think there'll be disagreement with me about whether or not this is the case, but I think it is. I think they've got another den somewhere in here. I don't know where. I can't quite guess where. But of course, it is entirely possible that we don't know where each and every single den site is. That's more than likely. It could also be that these tracks, perhaps there's a carcass somewhere that they've been feeding off. So, I mean, it's difficult to not want to jump to conclusions, but I probably shouldn't. But there's just been so much increased hyena activity. There's a lot of increased hyena activity. And the fact that Gwen came back. Gwen's low ranking, so she dens separately. But is she brave enough to den all the way away from the protection of the clan, when an encounter with a separate clan could potentially kill her or her cubs? Doesn't make sense to me. I don't think she would have moved here alone. I could be completely wrong, but I doubt it. I wonder which hyena that was. I don't know if any of you managed to get any good identifying screenshots. Guessing it's a male, but I would really like for it to be a female. Because if it's a female, it makes our theory even stronger. There might even be a den in here. I haven't heard any sounds of hyenas coming from here, though. I don't know. But I am very, very glad that we stopped to check those hyena tracks. I just had a funny feeling we needed to go back. This hyena hasn't gone far, and I don't think it actually wants to be in here. I think it wants to be on the road, potentially. But it's just staying on the outskirts just because we're here. And bear in mind, these hyena probably haven't properly encountered people on foot in a long time. They've been gone from us for 8 months. So they're probably not as comfortable as they used to be when they used to follow me tracking. Young hyena, I'm not sure actually. I want to say young hyena, but I didn't get a proper good look at it. Cool. It's not going to pop back out again, but it might follow us for a while, just out of curiosity. But you can turn around and say boo to a hyena, and it'll... There's a... just to finish off quickly, if you do happen to scare a hyena, the way in which they move is hilarious, because it's almost as though their bottom is trying to get ahead of their shoulders in the way that they launch themselves away from a threat. It's a very peculiar run. Unlike, of course, the fluid forward motion of the dogs. Let's go back to Brent.